Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the SR Sports Reactions, where Australia has successfully beaten Tunisia by 1 goal to nil. And I'll be taking through my thoughts on the game. Firstly, Australia with the first 3 points of the World Cup. Absolutely amazing for Australia. But for Tunisia, though, unlucky. They're currently on 1 point and they have to prove something against France in order to have some sort of competitive edge in this group. Now, let's talk about the game. The game was very, very average from both teams. The first half, Australia played extremely well, I think. They managed to control the game, they managed to get the goal, obviously. Tunisia was on the back for most of the time. But the second half, Australia was atrocious and Tunisia kept knocking, but unfortunately they could not create, no, sorry, not create, they could not finish off their chances. Firstly, George Kuyol. If you don't know him, youngster for Newcastle who's just signed for them, gonna play in January. Played extremely well coming on against France. Created many chances in that match. Didn't start. People wanted him to start. Australian fans wanted him to start. Graham Arnold said fuck no. He was like, no, he's not starting. Don't know why. So I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna bring him on. Didn't bring him on at all. I don't know why. He is probably Australia's best player. Even though he's still young, he's probably their best player. Like, he's the only one that plays in the Premier League, not like these A-League farmers fuckers, honestly. It he would have provided more attacking threat, in my opinion. Like, could have brought him on the 50th, 60th minute, Australia could have comfortably won this game 2-3-0. But it was a 1-0 grind. Second half, Australia were very, very, very average. Sloppy, slow, all that. Tunisia, however, were knocking on the door time and time again, but unfortunately they could not finish. They couldn't finish anything. So that is why they did not equalize. I wouldn't have been surprised if they equalized. It should have been a draw, in my opinion. This reminds me of like the Canada and Belgium game where Canada had chance after chance after chance but just couldn't finish it. Honestly, it was unlucky from Tunisia. Now let me go through the first half. So the first half, Australia attacking well and they got their goal. It was a beautiful cross and a good header to finish it off. And I think it was a good work goal and they should have expanded on that. But for some reason, felt like they were parking the bus during the second half. They were just sitting back, letting Tunisia come to them. They were sitting back. Now I'll tell you, for me, two standout players from Australia. Number one, Matt Ryan. It wasn't an amazing performance like the Saudi goalie, but it was a very, very solid performance. Coming out for crosses, marshalling from the back, obviously being the captain. But it was a good performance. He kept very well. He didn't seem under any sort of pressure at all. I mean, he wasn't really tested with the shot that Tunisia provided, but it was a very solid goalkeeper performance. But this second player, my opinion, my man of the match, Sutar, number 19. I didn't know his name until now. What an absolute unit at the back. He marshaled that defense. He made some game-winning blocks, game-winning tackles. He was absolutely amazing for Australia. Without him, Tunisia would have scored 100%. He looked like the only one that was actually giving a damn about the game. He was actually pushing, he was actually going, he was actually trying. Like, the Australian back line, other than him, felt like they're all pussies. Like, honestly, it was embarrassing. But he managed to get the job done. Australia managed to grind out this result. At the end of the day, a win is a win. But let me tell you something, Australia. As I want Australia to do well. If you do that against Denmark, that second half, you're gonna get absolutely slaughtered by Denmark. Those Denmark forwards are gonna have a field day. Dansgaard, Dolberg, Eriksson, all of them are gonna have a field day. They're gonna take advantage of that and absolutely smack Australia. But Tunisia, let's talk about Tunisia before I get back to Australia. What does Tunisia do? I think Tunisia just give it their all against France because in the second half I think Tunisia had something when they brought on forgot number 10, I forgot his name, can't remember on the top of my head, but he was amazing for Tunisia. He was making runs, doing well, had a couple shots on goal, but they weren't the best. I think if Tunisia just work on the final third, and the shooting, they will be good. They will be good, and they can pose a real challenge towards France. But anyways, back to Australia. They're playing Denmark. They've got 3 points. They need to buck up. Australia need to buck up. I want to talk about one thing: the mentality of the players, the absolute grind, the grind of the players. It's a team sport. It's a team game, and I don't think all the team gave 110%. I don't think that. I was watching the Iran game. Those Iranians to the last minute, they were running, they were chasing, they were determined, they were running their socks, they were working really hard. That's why they managed to win against Wales. Yes, they had 10 men, but it was the determination they had. 90 minutes plus 8 in that heat in Qatar. Yes, they have aircon, but that heat, that summer heat, that morning heat, they were still running, and they managed to get that goal, 1-0, and that second goal, 2-0. That's what I saw. The difference between Iran and Australia, in my opinion. Though Iran was the underdog, they lost 6-2, but that did not stop them. They believed. And I think Australia had that belief in the first half, but in my opinion, the second half they did not do enough. They were lucky to win. Lucky, very lucky to win, Australia. They weren't running. I saw the players. They weren't running. They weren't fighting. They weren't. They weren't doing that at all, which was very ashamed to see. They weren't doing that at all, in my opinion. And for the forward line for Australia, again, George Coyle, criminal not to start. Criminal. He was robbed. Absolutely robbed. I think he put in a good performance against France. I don't know why Graham Arnold didn't bring him home for Lecky when he was injured. It wasn't good. So hopefully Australia buck up, because it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch that second half. It was very hard to watch. And if Australia just don't outwork Denmark, they're not going to win, because Denmark have more talent than them, and they work as a team. Australia need to become one and work hard. All of them. All of them need to work hard. Not just 2 or 3 players. All of them need to work hard. All of them need to run. All of them need to change. All of them need to tackle. All of them need to work as a unit. They can't just rely on these 3 players working their socks off just to get a win. So that's about it, really. That was sort of my instant thoughts on the Tunisia and Australia game. Thank you very much. Catch you guys soon. Bye bye.